Hi y'all, today I'm going to show you how to make my new gluten-free sourdough English muffins. I've been working on these on and off for a while now, and I'm so excited to finally share them with you. Once I made my first loaf of gluten-free sourdough, I vowed I'd go back through all my bread recipes and make them into a sourdough version, and this is just the beginning of that, y'all. This sourdough recipe is by far the best English muffins I've ever had, gluten-free or not. They're so easy to make. They can be made in less than one day, and they have all the nooks and crannies we love so much about English muffins. So let's get into it, and I'll show you how to make them. I recently posted my same-day gluten-free sourdough bread, y'all, and it is a game changer in the gluten-free bread world. It's so perfect that I started experimenting with other options, one of which is this recipe. You can check out that video for a more detailed instruction of how to make the dough, but it's pretty much the same as any of my other dough recipes, just a little different start. We start by making a psyllium gel with 350 grams of warm water and 17 grams of whole psyllium husks, which are mixed together and allowed to gel. Then we'll add in 115 grams of our active gluten-free sourdough starter, which you should have fed either last night or early this morning. It needs to be active. See my sourdough starter video for how to make a gluten-free sourdough starter. Next comes 25 grams of olive oil, 17 grams of honey, 350 grams of my gluten-free bread flour blend, the recipe for which you'll always find on my website, and finally 7 grams of kosher salt and 9 grams of baking powder. And we just mix this up on high or medium high for 5 minutes, and that's the dough. Easy peasy. Okay, so to make these English muffins, first I want to prepare my pan. I've lined my sheet pan here with parchment, and I'm just sprinkling cornmeal all over the parchment for the English muffins to rise. This is actually white cornmeal, so it's not as yellow as some other ones, but white, yellow, it doesn't matter as long as it is made in a gluten-free environment. Okay, so now we can go ahead and knead the dough, y'all, and I'll just dump it out onto a floured surface. I always use the flour that's in the recipe for kneading, so that would be my own gluten-free bread flour blend. And we're just kneading this to get a smoother dough. Okay, to divide this, I'm actually going to use my scale. But if you're good at eyeballing it, just eyeball it and don't worry about the scale. I'm terrible at eyeballing, so I like to have my scale and know that they are exactly the same size. I'm making these 3 ounces each, which is 85 grams. You can make them smaller. I did make them smaller. I never made them bigger, but I did make some 2-ounce ones, and they were great. It's just we all wanted like 2 or 3 English muffins because they were so little. So I'll just shape them into a perfectly round and smooth ball. I'm sure y'all have seen me do this several times by now. But if not, it's super easy. Just on a floured surface, you kind of bring the sides up and into the middle and then pinch the top. And then you flip it over, and on an unfloured part of your surface, you're going to roll it in your hand, kind of make a backwards C, if you're right-handed especially. And keep your hand in contact with the counter at all times, and just roll it like, I guess I'm doing counterclockwise. So if you're left-handed, it would be a regular C, and you'd be doing it clockwise. I'll just knock out the rest of these. And I'll put them on my prepared baking sheet, just a couple of inches apart or so. And before I proof these, I'm going to press down on them to flatten them slightly, just so they'll rise more like a flat-topped English muffin should versus like a rounded roll. And let me sprinkle them with a little more of my cornmeal. And I'll cover these and let them rise until nearly doubled in size. This could take anywhere from a half hour to 3 hours or more, y'all, depending on the season, the temperature, all of that. All right, so these are fully risen and ready to bake, or should I say cook, because we're not baking these in the oven. We're kind of baking them on the stovetop, y'all. So no need to preheat the oven or do anything with the oven. It's all about the stove. I've got about a tablespoon of butter in my cast iron skillet. You don't have to use cast iron. I just always prefer to use it for something like this. And I'll gently place the risen muffins. I like to flip them upside down just so they get a little better shape going on from where they were on the sheet pan. And then I'm going to cover this and reduce the heat to low. And I'm going to griddle these for 15 minutes. I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, they should be browned on the bottom. Carefully flip them over. And then I'll cover them again and griddle them for another 15 minutes. These look beautiful, don't they? They are so good, you guys. I'll remove them to my sheet pan for just a sec because it's right here. But I'll then transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely. Now, I don't know about you, but in my world, English muffins are really meant to be toasted. I've never had an English muffin that has not been toasted first, because that's what really creates that crunchy nooks and crannies like texture that everyone's looking for. So to me, it's kind of like not right if you don't toast your English muffins. So I'm going to toast this after I have fork split them. And then you can just spread them with butter, jam, or anything of your choosing, really. I like them just straight up with butter. But sometime soon, I'm going to make one of the things I miss the most, y'all, and that is Eggs Benedict. Enjoy!